So there are some ideal properties which should be there for a detector to be used for gas chromatography. It should have high sensitivity, minimum drift, wide dynamic range, operational temperatures of up to 400 degrees Celsius, fast response time, same response factor for all types of solutes, good reliability, non-destructive, and response to all solutes. Non-destructive because the detectors which we'll be seeing, out of that there is one detector, there are two detectors which are basically destructive type. In our last lecture, we saw atomic absorption spectrometry and atomic emission spectrometry. In that we are using the flame. The same concept is used here, and that are destructive type. But preferably you require a non-destructive type of a detector. So these are the various detectors that are available for gas chromatography. First, flame ionization. Then you have thermal conductivity, electron capture, nitrogen and phosphorus, then flame photometric, photon ionization, and Hall effect type. Out of these, thermal conductivity, FID, ECD, and there is one more, argon argon ionization detector. That one is also used. These three are the most commonly used and commonly questioned detectors in your final exams. They will be usually asking either thermal conductivity detector or the flame ionization detector to be explained in your final exams. Here you have the type, that is it mass flow, concentration type. Then you have the gases that it supports. Then selectivity, that means which type of components or which chemicals it identifies very nicely. Then you have detectability and the dynamic range for those detectors. So let's see one by one. The first one, thermal conductivity detector. It's basically a Wheatstone bridge construction in which you have known resistances R1 and R2. And you have two sensitive elements, and they are placed in capsules through which the sample and the reference are passed. This R3 is taking the column flow. That means it is taking the sample from the column. And this R4 is taking the reference flow. That means the reference gas. Now, everyone knows that every gas has thermal conductivity. Okay. And what is basically done is, the gas that is passing through this, it will absorb, or the temperature of the element will vary depending on the gas passing over it, and that will vary depending on the thermal conductivity of that particular gas or that particular sample. And we will be able to identify by the change in the signal or a change in the imbalance of the thermal conductivity detector, that which type of element it is or how much it is. So basically you will be able to detect the signal on the basis of the thermal conductivity. You can just go through this one. It is a non-destructive type of a detector used for separation and collection of solutes to further perform some more experiments on each of the purely separated components. So it's basically non-destructive type. That means I can utilize the sample again if needed. So it's non-destructive. Then the heart of the detector is a heated filament, which is cooled by helium carrier gas. That means our column carrier gas, which is helium or nitrogen, or it could be argon, or it could be carbon dioxide. So if it is helium, the filament is naturally being cooled by helium. Any solute passes across the filament will not cool it as much as helium does, because helium has the highest thermal conductivity. This results in an increase in the temperature of the filament, which is related to the concentration. The detector is simple, non-destructive, and universal, but is not very sensitive and is flow rate sensitive. Very high flow might just not give you proper readings. So for that reason, you use this, but to an extent where sensitivity can be neglected to some extent. This is the thermal conductivity of various gases. Again, another diagram. This is the thermal conductivity element, means the element that you see here, this particular element that you see. This is the construction of that element, how the gas flows in and flows out across the element or the heated filament. Some characteristics of thermal conductivity detector. The next is FID or flame ionization detector. It is similar to what you used to do when you used to do the flame test in the experiments which you must have done sometime in school and colleges. That means if I place a sample or if I place a chemical in the blue flame of any gas stove, the flame color changes, and the change in color is dependent completely on the sample that you're placing in the flame. So that is flame ionization detector. So what is exactly happening in it is that you are exciting the atoms in the sample by the flame, by using the flame. And once they are excited, they will move to higher energy level. When they are coming back to the lower energy level, they will give out radiations. And these radiations will be able to directly tell us which sample is placed in the flame. But this one is a destructive type of a detector, which is mentioned here clearly. That means if I want the sample to be used again, I will not be able to do that. Fuel is usually hydrogen. So this is the construction. There are 2-3 diagrams. You can take any one of them. 1, 2, and there's one more. This one is also there. Okay. So it's simple. What you have is a flame in which the sample is inserted. You can see from this point, the sample is coming to the flame. Now, the flame will excite the sample, and you have a collector assembly which will collect the sample, and you will be able to take the readings. So an FID consists of an hydrogen air flame and a collector plate. Some characteristics of FID. Then electron capture detector. This detector is basically using a beta emitter. Now what happens is that in the absence of halogenated compounds, a high current signal will be recorded due to high ionization of the carrier gas. Okay. While if there is some halogen compound present, the signal will decrease due to lower ionization. So what exactly is happening here is, you have here is a radioactive material. Okay. So if from the column there are no halogens that are coming inside, then there is gas present here which is continuously being ionized due to the electrons which are emitted from the beta emitter. Now these are collected at these two electrodes, positive and negative, and there is a continuous current flowing. The moment there are halogens, this ionization current reduces, and we can then detect that there is a reduced current, and the reduced the difference in the current will be directly proportional to the amount of halogens that will be present inside the detector at a time. This is an explanation for it. So it is normally used for organic compounds.